Good morning and welcome to Santander on the northern coast of Spain. I've just arrived on the Brittany Ferries Santona on a 2-night voyage all the way from Portsmouth, England. I've only got an incredibly long 4 hours here before I must head back on the ferry back to Blighty, so I best explore as much of the city as I can before it's time to go. With that, welcome to Carl's Travel Channel, where every journey costs less than £200. Please sit back, relax and enjoy the ride, and always remember the nearest exit may be behind you. Today's video will be a little different to my usual voyages, since I explored the ship in depth in part 1, Portsmouth to Santander. If you're looking for a full on-board tour, please watch that video, which finishes up here at the Botín Centre. This video instead will begin exploring here the architecture of the beautiful city of Santander and some of the unusual quirky transport it has to offer. I will then sail home in leisure to Portsmouth, where we will experience a spectacular arrival, especially for maritime lovers, encountering many different ferries, ships and even maybe a hovercraft. We may even get saluted by the largest vessel in the Royal Navy's fleet, an aircraft carrier. And no, it's not this quirky building standing in front of us, the beautiful, gorgeous Centro Botín, or Botín Centre. It was opened on June the 23rd, 2017, and is the work of Italian architect Renzo Piano, who is better known for a short little skyscraper in London called the Shard. It is a large art gallery and exhibition space. I'll return to show you this incredible building once more before we head back on the ferry. What a glorious sun over the harbour. Heading back towards the city now, I pass this nice monument put up in 1911 to Jose Maria de Pareda, a 19th century Cantabrian writer. Plus some beautiful tropical style palm trees here. We are passed at quite a speed by one of the vast network of city buses you could catch about town. Further into the city is the 1880 monument to Pedro Velarde, a local war captain and hero. A look here at a map of the central Santander area, and I'm very keen to see two of its most prominent things. The most famous, of course, being the very long 32-hour trip to go to my bank branch, this being its global headquarters. Maybe soon it will be the only branch left open. Santander is a fairly hilly city, which you only really appreciate when you try walking anywhere. The escalator is already doing some of the hard work for me. But just up here is one of Santander's most quietly useful bits of infrastructure. It connects two streets that are of very different heights. And best of all, it's free and mostly used by people who already know it exists, which explains why the tourists tend to walk straight past, slightly out of breath. In fact, tourists are something Santander seems to lack. I didn't see very many other people around here visiting at all. This section's escalator is currently closed, so I needed to walk up. There is, however, a ramp there to the right. I make it here at the Ascensor Rio de la Pia. And this is it, built directly into the cliff. It was opened back in July 2008, part of a city project to increase accessibility. The whole thing was budgeted at around €4 million, with the second phase of work, including all those escalators, adding another couple of million. If you have very good eyesight, in the far distance you can see a plane landing at Santander Airport. As we emerge from the tree line, it becomes clear there is some kind of massive fire has broken out. I certainly hope it's not anywhere near the ferry terminal, because that is my lift back home and my bag is still on board. Now I have made it here at the top, there's only one thing to do, yes you've guessed it, to come back down again. And if you are a fan of two wheels, bicycles are permitted on board. Before I head back down, however, I liked here and come up onto the footbridge to get this view over the very quirky architecture around this area. It looks like some kind of spaghetti junction for pedestrians. Probably the most bizarre thing is just over here, this very spooky mural on the wall. From reading online, apparently this was by the Italian artist Z1. It certainly is very creepy. And just as we pass this, it affords an excellent view down over the escalators, which we ascended not long ago. This location has obviously undergone quite a lot of regeneration. A final view here of the gondola heading upwards on its next grand ascent. Back in a noisy town centre is the headquarters of the city's most famous institution, yes, the Banco de Santander, and its grand arch. I stop for a quick rest in the Plaza de Pombo, with its nice old grandstand there in the middle. And from there back to the Paseo Maritimo on the ocean side. Oh, and you could just spot the first view of our ferry out in the distance. Sticking out from this is the Real Club Maritimo, a gorgeous looking Art Deco building. I then finally arrive at Santander's beautiful old town marina called Puerto Chico. Yes, we've made it back to where we started, here at the Botín Centre. It really is a stunning and unusual building. Let's head over here and do some investigation at the space inside. This is the gallery's main gift store, and as you can see through the window, there are lots of souvenirs, books and t-shirts of Piano himself. Sadly though, I am out of time, and it's time to head back to the ferry terminal. Luckily, it's just here next door. The Estación Marítima. Check-in was nice and quick and easy, but inside the terminal there's the bonus of all these goodies. Beginning with this vast map of the Santander Bay and area. These models are really excellent. Another close-up one here of the quayside and ferry terminal. You can see the car ramp down there. Just as a loud bang goes off. Maybe that's the ramp being lowered down. As it states here, this model dates back from 1993. Presumably this one is a model of Isla de Muro, or Muro Island, which we pass on the outbound voyage, and its lighthouse on top. This next particular model has got me a little baffled, as I'm unable to locate where it is. If anyone's able to be a geodetective or wizard, please let me know. And the same for this one here. Please let me know in the comments if you're able to geolocate these. On the other side here, as well as this larger scale version as well of the port, it affords also some models of the ships, such as starting here with the Val de Loire, which is now DFDS's King Seaways, as seen on my Newcastle Amsterdam video. Behind her here is a much more classic Brittany Ferries ship, the Quiberon. And next to her, the still in service Pont Aven, which plies its trade from Plymouth to Roscoff and here at Santander. Finally over there is the Old Bretagne, ending with a smaller model from the same year as her construction, 1988. Back on a transfer bus, I then boarded the ferry, the Brittany Ferries Santona. Onto deck 7 to my very conveniently located cabin. Hopefully my keycard still works. Phew, yes it does, and that my suitcase is still inside. Phew, it is. One of the big benefits of going on a mini cruise.
Ladies and gentlemen, for safety reasons, access to the car decks is strictly forbidden during the sailing. We therefore ask you to ensure you have everything you need before we depart. We thank you for your cooperation. Señoras y señores.
I had already filmed the arrival into Santander on my last video of this ship, Portsmouth to Santander, so you can see that on there. But for now, however, it's time to head off. So, here we go. Bon voyage, or bon viage in Spanish. I was hoping to do a little sunbathing on the way back, but given the weather today, that doesn't look like it's a good option. Hopefully tomorrow or later, the sun will brighten up. The ferry is even quieter than it was on the way out, so you can see the big empty decks here. the smoking shelter here to the right. I don't recall this particular door on the outbound voyage, so let's give it a go and see where it is, as someone has left it swinging open. Firstly, a refresher in the bar, Pepsi and some orange juice. The drinks prices on board are not too bad. I then joined the fairly long queue for dinner. As usual on Brittany Ferries, desserts and entrees are served first. A few options for dinner, beef stew is available, but alas I did not see my favourite, fish and chips, so I'll have to go for this again, spaghetti bolognese, with a chocolate vegan brownie. But of course, what better view could there be for dinner than this? Some extra cheese sprinkle is provided in this little packet. The food was okay, but not great, and I really wish there was more choice on board, like on the Cairn crossing. The cafeteria here on the Santona definitely has less options. I'm not going to devote much of this video to exploring the ferry, I'm afraid, because I really did that in depth on my Portsmouth to Santander video. To end the night, it's time for a blast of sea air and to enjoy my midnight stroll on deck. To the left here is the now quiet and abandoned smoking area, and to the right, the play area. As you can see, no smokers tonight. The activity area there, and also very good for safety reasons, it's fenced off. Free to use exercise bikes are located all along these decks. And various other gym contraptions, which I'm not sure how to use. Even an adult acrobatics frame. As you can see, the decks are all brilliantly illuminated and very well lit. This does have a little downside, however, that there is no dark area up on deck to relax and enjoy the stars above. I would imagine over the channel you get some great views of the Milky Way had it not been for these lights. If anyone has any experience stargazing on board, please let me know. Finally, I reached the stern and the nice view over the back there. A fairly heavy load of freight on tonight. One final up-top view of our funnel. I return to the warmth and comfort of my inside cabin, and complete with a free TV, I must say the cabins are one of the best things on board these new ferries. With that I say goodnight from the Santona and from the Bay of Biscay, and I'll see you all in the morning. Well, good morning, and it's time for breakfast. A quick look at the menu for La Taberna, the main self-service restaurant on board. A good range of both hot, here and cold options. Coffee, drinks and even beer. It's not actually self-service, of course, you must be served by a member of staff. Buon provecho, or bon appetit. It really does look delicious. One thing Brittany Ferries does well is the breakfast, and today I've had to eat it in the bar, as I was so late they'd already closed the restaurant. And the live entertainment was already starting. That was quite pleasant, but the entertainment on board, to be honest, is very basic compared to the cruise ferries you get in Scandinavia or in the North Sea. However, the sun is finally out, so it's time to enjoy some bathing on deck. A beautiful view over the Bay of Biscay, with a cargo ship there flanking us to the side.
Prediction last night was Mark.
Anyhow, time for a little bit of on-deck relaxation. I sit down and I'm not sure why, it looks like I'm listing over. So here we are on the rear deck of the Santona, enjoying some last rays of sunshine before our relaxing arrival into Portsmouth tonight. It's been really quite a pleasant day, and a pleasant, well, I'm not sure you could call it cruise, but a pleasant ferry experience. It certainly is a very pleasant way to spend an afternoon. And who's this chap up here? Well, hello sailor. I think this is actually the Wi-Fi antenna. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. And the helipad, of course. This is going to get used later in our voyage. There's certainly plenty of angles and deck space to do some sunbathing. As I head back inside, one of the best features of this vessel, the glass atrium overlooking the bar area. get down for another Pepsi to keep you refreshed. They're only about £3 here in the bar. The onboard quiz now begins.
So we'll come around with some quiz papers and pens, so if you'd like to join, we would absolutely love that.
But as you will see, this will get interrupted due to an emergency.
Go to the next one. So these guys will go. Give them one more. So these guys, we're going to prepare. Oh, do we have sounding?
The helicopter operation has been completed. Access the action deck and apparatus. Please accept our apologize for any convenience caused by this emergency and thank you for your understanding.
The passenger was airlifted off, and I certainly hope they are okay. Sadly, no shots of the helicopter as the decks were closed off. Land ahoy, as they say. A gorgeous view as the sun begins to go down over the Isle of Wight. And as you can see on the screen, arrival time is at 8 PM, with another reminder that the time used on board the vessel is local British time. Very confusing given that this is a French ship. As I have a little spare time, I do a little walk through now, through the vessel and its bar areas, as they are a little quieter this afternoon. I'll have a look for a few little oddities I didn't show you in the first video. Some signage here summarising all the things on deck 8. Firstly, we pass a play area there, the explorers area to the right. And some nice local information posters. There is a nice snippet and information on the wall here about the city of Santander, of the vessel's namesake. And of course, the well-stocked Irish bar, because of course everybody wants an Irish bar on a ferry that goes from Spain to England. And there is even a Manchester United flag in here for a football match. A lovely view up there, however, of the atrium. Still, for those who want it, they definitely do show loud football on board. This poster over here is a great reminder of the incredible Camino de Santiago, something you could actually reach from Santander itself. One other noticeable thing lacking on this ferry is the beautiful lounge on the San Marlo, located at the stern of the ship. As we draw closer to Portsmouth, now flanked on the horizon, we are greeted by the passing of her sister ship, the Galicia, which at the time of making this video was the regular on the Portsmouth to Bilbao route. I believe it still operates that route, and it should, to be honest, be pretty identical to the Santona on board. As they exchange the ceremonial blasting of the horns, we're treated with a beautiful sunset behind her, very atmospheric. I will next see the Galicia in Cherbourg, around 7 months later on my Cherbourg to Poole video. For now, let's wave her off as she steams southward to Bilbao. As we then approach Portsmouth and its iconic Spinnaker Tower in the distance, there's a rush of excitement as a different form of transport hurtles towards us, at which for a waterbound vessel is quite fast. Yes, you've guessed it, it's a hovercraft. These fly, as they call it, from Southsea to Ryde, and you can see one up closer on my Isle of Wight video, where I explore all of the island's different transport options. Talking of Southsea, there she is coming into view right now, and you can see her fun fair known as Clarence Pier. Southsea has a nice collection of Art Deco buildings and Victoria buildings along its promenade, and also a half-abandoned church with no roof, which you can just about see over there. You can just about see a ramp over there in the middle of the screen. I wonder if that's where the hovercraft goes. Maybe you can let me know in the comments below. We draw in closer past the Portsmouth City Wall and the Round Tower, which must afford amazing, excellent views over the harbour and Solent. I'll have to check them out one day. The riverside pubs and bars then follow this. So much ferry traffic is around Portsmouth today, it kind of reminds me of a live webcam view of the harbour. To the right here is the Whitelink car ferry, the St Clair, one of the 3 ferries operated by Whitelink on the Portsmouth to Fishbourne route, and you can see that journey on my channel in a separate video. Then, emerging right in front of us is Portsmouth's iconic Spinnaker Tower, with the Gun Wharf Quays shopping centre behind it. It certainly is one of the most spectacular lights I've had for an arrival into Portsmouth. Emerging from the side here is the small and green Gosport ferry, embarking on its next short 5-minute journey across the harbour. This is an almost exact repeat of when I departed Portsmouth 3 days ago and was up there in the top of the Spinnaker Tower and saw the Gosport ferry passing. You can look back and see that on the last video. The classic old Isle of Wight car ferry, the St Faith of Whitelink, is berthed in there, presumably as a spare for the day, currently not in service. This is the 3rd of their 3 ferries. She's by far the oldest in Whitelink's fleet, and I really must make a journey on her one day before she's retired, maybe to Sardinia like her 2 sisters. Finally emerging to the left is Portsmouth Historic Dockyard, and you can clearly see the HMS Warrior there. Right in the middle of the screen now is the place I usually begin all of my journeys in Portsmouth, Portsmouth Harbour Station, and that directly connects to the Gosport ferry terminal. Hopefully that gives you a nice layout or overview of ferry travel around or from the Portsmouth area. But stand by and don't click off just yet, there's another surprise coming up. In the beautiful evening light, we then approach one of the Royal Navy's largest bases here at Portsmouth. First of all, passing one of their Type 23 frigates, the HMS Sutherland. She's a Duke class launched in 1996 and built on the Clyde, up in Glasgow. Then coming into view is one of the prides of the Royal Navy fleet, the HMS Prince of Wales, the second of the Royal Navy's 2 Queen Elizabeth class aircraft carriers. She was launched in 2017. As you can see from here, she's currently undergoing a refit, or well, she was back when this video was filmed. She could carry the new modern F-35 stealth aircraft, but sadly there are none visible up on deck today. As our ferry then pulled around the other side, we were then greeted by a group of sailors up on top of the deck, or the large ramp used for takeoffs. And if you look really closely, you can see some of them giving us a wave to welcome us back home. We then pull into our berth aside of the San Marlo Morlaix, a ferry I took from Portsmouth to Cherbourg, from here on another video you can see on my channel. And just in case you are confused, that's not its normal route. Its normal route, of course, is Portsmouth to San Marlo. At the time this video was shot, she was literally only 3 months old, having been delivered in February 2025, and is one of a pair of shorter reflexes used by Brittany Ferries, along with its sister ship, the Guillaume de Normandie. I then spy, in the right corner of my eye, the Islander, Brittany Ferries offering to Guernsey, just as our arrival music plays. We slip in alongside her as we enter our berth. This was the former Condor vessel, the Condor Islander, before Brittany Ferries took over sailings to Guernsey. I'll let you enjoy her move past as I wait to leave the ferry. And as you can see from her stern, she is registered in Nassau, rather unusual for a Brittany Ferries ship because they're normally registered in France. I guess this is a legacy from Condor. For now, however, I will prepare for departure, and this is the location you must wait in on board the vessel to leave as a foot passenger. Then down the stairs, of course, onto here, the transfer bus. Not very many of us today, as you can see. Typical hard urban bus style seating. After what felt like waiting forever, we're off and on our way out of the vessel. As I have said many times before on the channel, this whole process of boarding and alighting the ship at Portsmouth via bus is really long-winded and drawn out, and takes a very long time, over half an hour after the ferry's arrival. And we're back on UK soil. Fortunately today I left plenty of time for my train connection, avoiding a mad dash back to the railway station. One final wave goodbye to her as we go. Passport control and immigration done, and now time to walk back from the terminal to the city centre. As you can see, the way from the terminal is clearly marked and all nice and flat, should you have any mobility issues. It takes around 25 minutes to walk back to here at Portsmouth and Southsea Station. We enter the nice old ticket hall, which was opened when the station was rebuilt in 1866. It really does have a nice grand old roof and feel to it. I've never shown you all this station before on my videos because normally I use Portsmouth Harbour. As you can see from the board, almost all trains leave from platform 1. Platforms 1 and 2 are the through platforms which were added to the station in 1876, providing services onwards to Portsmouth Harbour. Very few services now use the other platforms located there under the train shed. So that was an amazing trip, 33 hours all the way out to Santander and 31 hours back again. I really enjoyed the cruise, it was good fun. A few hitches here and there, as described already in the video, but overall it was excellent. Now just a very long wait here at Portsmouth and Southsea Station for my train. But remember, please, to like and subscribe, because it really does mean a lot, and I'll see you on the next one. As I wait here, a GWR service pulls in. Great option to get to the ferry for those living in the West Country, which takes you all the way direct to Cardiff Central. My train then finally arrives after the fairly longish wait, a South Western railway service bound for London Waterloo. They certainly are long trains with plenty of seats. And so, here we go. As we head off to London and look around the carriage and its nice plush interior, as you can see, it's packed full of invisible passengers. Power sockets are provided at every seat. Arriving at Waterloo Station, a little hack here, this passage directly in between the platforms takes you straight down to the tube station. Before we alight, a final recap of the trip costings for my Santander mini cruise. The trip itself on the boat, including the cabin for 3 nights, cost £159. With the 2 SWR train tickets costing £10 each, making a grand total of £179. That is just amazing value for money for a 3-night holiday or mini cruise away. Right, it's time now for me to get the tube and head home. As we turn the corner and make a crunch. Thank you for watching Carl's Travel Channel. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you of course on the next one.